Hey, this is Sir Charles Carey. I want you to join me on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for the Tru-Mu podcast, True Music. That's where we talk about all things.
I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, producer, engineer.
All things creative.
Me and my co-host, Carl T. Smith, the smooth one, will be glad to hear you, glad to talk to you, answer your questions, and talk all things music. The Tru-Mu podcast, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be part of the energy.
I can see that thing that makes men stop, stand still, all in denial, suffer loss of will.
Hey, it's time for the Tru-Mu podcast, y'all. So we talk about all things music, all things creative, all things innovative. And as I say, people don't realize that creativity is not just a friend or brother or has a kinship only with the arts. Being creative also relates to business, and it really doesn't matter what type of business. It just is what it is. But today we're going to go back to the origin of what the podcast was created to. We're going to talk about pop culture. We're talking about the arts. It's a little bit chilly today, so I got a cup of tea. Look, I got a big cup of tea. And I got some echinacea tea because in this season or during this season, when the winter sets in, you can't be too careful. You got to be ready. And if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So anyway, I don't know where my co-host is, but we're going to get this party moving. Carl T. Smith, the smooth one. I guess he'll be on sooner or later. But talking about pop culture, going old school, how many of y'all remember the staple singers? I know I remember them, and I don't have any clips to play or anything like that, but I was surprised to learn that Mavis Staples, excuse me one second, as they say, let me clear my throat. Mavis Staples and Buddy Guy have a new album out. So I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Oh, here comes the smooth one. There he is, live and in person.
How is it?
Oh, you got to reach down and turn it on. He's ready, my man. I was ready for you to make that golden move. I thought she was going to go.
I'm going to have to change my routine, huh?
I see.
Yeah, man.
Lighting looks good on the set, too, man. That's all good, man. How you been?
Been okay. Tired, but I'm okay. Yourself?
Okay. Well, okay, we're gonna backpedal a little bit. For those who don't know or don't care to know, I'm just putting it out there. I recently had surgery on my eye, my right eye, and seems that the doctor say I've got glaucoma, and I'm like, huh? So the reality of the fact is I have to do something. You can't wait because they say glaucoma has no grace. It just continues to grow and grow and take away your vision. And it's not like I'm into eye disease or ailments, but I listened to what they said, and I went and had this laser surgery. And of course, I won't say I was freaking out, but me being the constant thinker, I'm imagining some red ray shooting into my eye, and I'm like, wow, if I move, will it burn my eye out? And all these different visions I have because I've never had this experience. But anyway, I had the procedure about a week ago, and seemed like any other eye exam almost, although there was and is sometimes light sensitivity. But went back for a follow-up today, and everything seems to be a-okay. So
I'm glad of that.
Oh, that makes two of us, man. I'm like, man, I'm going to get from point A to point B if I'm seeing where I'm going. It just don't make sense. So follow doctor's orders and keep it moving, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Man, but what was the office for today?
For today?
Yeah.
Just trying to get back home from they had a classic weekend.
Oh, okay.
So
really?
He was working that. Yeah.
Man, I haven't been to the Pocono since high school. Man, just a couple of years ago, as you would say.
Right now, I was already taking off my socks to count the years that you talking about.
How was it?
Was nice. It was good. It was good. They had all the classic acts. Stylistics, Shy Lights.
Was Karen White there?
Karen White, yeah, they had Karen White, Sugar Hill Gang.
Okay.
Who else did they have there? They had quite a few acts that was on the show.
Hip to the hop to the hippy dippy dippy the dop.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
But I was just talking about today's show being about pop culture, and I was talking about Mavis Staples, as you know, from the Staple Singers, that she's got a new album out with Buddy Guy, and I was like, "Whoa, really?"
Mm-hmm.
So there's hope for you young cats, still, man.
That's me.
Oh man. But look, there's a lot of talk going around, as you know, talking about pop culture. There's a lot of things in the news, and there's this talk: is R. Kelly better than Usher? And I mean, what are your thoughts on that? R. Kelly versus Usher, vocal talent or vocal ability?
Well, I gotta think about that one. I just don't understand why they gotta pit them against each other, as far as their talents and stuff like that. But when you say better, because that's the whole thing. When you say better, what are we talking about? When you say better,
hey, one a better vocalist than the other one,
Yeah, see, because if that's the case, they both need some work.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, if you're gonna, I look at vocals like a shooter. You got a guy who can shoot, and you got a guy that's a sniper, hits the target every time. And the shooter shoots, well, but the sniper is a better singer.
Okay, for sure.
And I don't see very many snipers, as far as vocals to compare, that kind of thing like that. The sliding scale of notes in most cases these days, it's kind of like a machine gun, just killing people everywhere but the target.
Well, I think that a lot of times why those two people in particular come up against or next to each other or versus each other is because Usher's the consummate performer and a very good vocalist, but R. Kelly has written so many hits. I mean, I Believe I Can Fly, you know what I mean? And when you think of all the hits he wrote, not just for himself, but for other people and the collaborations, there lies the comparison, or so I know my personal opinion, because I don't think really Usher writes that much, because I know for a fact that a lot of people write for Usher, and I'm not saying he's ever claimed to be a songwriter or a massive songwriter, but I think his vocal stylings are more appealing than R. Kelly. Although when R. Kelly came out with Special Announcement in the very beginning, it's okay, but obviously as he got better, or as he had more tenure in the industry, he's definitely and he leaps and bounds above his debut with the group. Do you remember when they first came out?
A little.
Yeah. I mean, they I think they maybe had one or two albums, then he went solo.
Right. Right. Yeah, a little.
That classic move.
Well, I guess if you're I don't know, it's sometimes for some people, in a group, it kind of stifles you, if you got a lot of stuff that you want to do, but the group, isn't with it, that kind of thing, or the group can't handle it.
Right.
You know, sometimes you have to move on. You know,
And when you kicked me out the group, I ain't say nothing. I was like, oh, okay, I guess
kicked you
so.
out the group. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know the truth, man.
I
He
know,
quit
right?
the group to go solo.
You know.
That's what he did. He quit the group to go solo.
But it's not
So,
my fault that I thought I was Michael Jackson.
well, hey, you
No.
know, you was on your way. Hey, sometimes it's better, you know, and sometimes it's better for you to go ahead and go solo and make it. You know
But
what I'm
I
saying?
think there's magic to groups that have multiple talented artists, whether it's vocal talent or musicians talent, musical talent, because it gives the audience, the masses, something to choose from within that one element, that one pod, versus one of the peas in the pod or one of the pods in the peas, however you would say it, is this I'm obviously by themselves, and then everyone else is not even in the picture. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's true. You know, but a lot of times the group can't handle that. You know,
The
the
success thing
multi-talented
or the money thing? What do you think?
say that again.
The success part of it or the money part of it?
Both. Um, the once again, you know, the multi talent in a group. You know, now everyone is wondering who has the most talent. Then each one of them feel that they have the most talent, so they deserve the most money. And then it goes to even who dressed the best
Mm,
in the same group. You know,
yeah, but
you
look at the
know.
Temptations, right?
Hmm.
Or look, of course you could say the Jacksons or the Jackson Five, whatever.
Well,
Cool in the Gang, and I
hmm
think they said, because I don't know, JT wanted it to be Cool in the Gang featuring JT Taylor or JT Taylor and Cool in the Gang. I don't know, but to me that was a mistake, because I think they had magic. Yeah, JT may have been the focal point as far as being the front man, but you could have still done side projects without the band, and but whatever, I guess when
a
you're
lot of
young,
that is also company. You
company
know,
oriented.
yeah. A lot of that, they pick one. You know, if one has a sound or just popular. You know what I mean? If one is a little more popular than the other, then they try to hit them up and give them a solo deal.
Or
And
the
then once they
manager
get,
gets in your head and tell you, yo, man, why are we splitting all this money?
yeah, you carrying the group, so
Right.
yeah, why are we splitting with them? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
splitting with them because you carry the group. Um, the only reason why you sticking out is because you're in the group and you
Right.
think you're carrying the group, but the group might be carrying you
Yeah.
so that you can stick out.
Yeah. Well, besides R. Kelly versus Usher, which, I don't know. Are you familiar with Tank, the vocalist?
I've heard some
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Besides R. Kelly and Usher and Mavis Staples having an album. I don't know how old she is, but in fact, let me just see. I'm just kind of curious now. Siri, how old is Mavis Staples?
I found this on the web.
Okay, you can do the math for me, man. She's 86. Wow.
86. Yeah.
So she's still dropping product out there. That's what's up. But
Well, yeah.
they said that Usher has a new product out coming too. I don't know when, but they say he's got a project coming out. And Beyonce's got something called Act 3 that's going to be, I don't know if it's debuted on IG or she's talking to people on IG, on Instagram. And then Alicia Keys, they said she's working on something new too. Have you heard about any of those artists?
I haven't. I haven't. I've heard, maybe their last stuff. But I haven't heard anything about the new stuff that's coming out. I haven't been keeping up.
Excuse me. Well, outside of that, the big talk is Diddy or Diddy. Did he or did he?
Did he do it? Did he do it? Or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen any of the information or the recent documentary that's on Netflix about this whole Diddy situation?
No, I haven't. I've seen maybe the first two, but I haven't seen anything after that. Sometimes the stuff gets kind of like overload, and then
Yeah, true.
between,
I agree.
between different stuff and the different things, and trying to keep up with Sir Charles. I can't run after Diddy.
Hey man, look, I'm just trying to keep my head above water, man, and uh, create a product that people can appreciate and me enjoy the process, man. I'm like, look, I'm a small fish in a big pond, But
those are the ones that should be.
you
Those are
have
the
an
ones that should
opinion?
shine.
You have an opinion about what you've seen on this?
Yeah, yeah. I got a couple of opinions.
Please do
Some
share.
of- Well, yeah, I don't know about all that, but I can say some of the accusations.
Uh-huh.
I can see where there's a problem with some of that, and some of it I just don't understand. I don't understand adults making a decision, and then after that, after they make the decision, now they attack you for it, or attack you, whatever the case may be. If he wasn't, I guess, I don't know what was it's like Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC, or I don't know, I can't remember what Diddy was trying to do, but if he wasn't doing that, I wonder if he would be in the predicament that he is in now.
Well, I caught a brief, I guess, view of the past documentaries, but I specifically sat down to watch the documentary on Netflix that 50 Cent produced. I thought it was pretty good, as far as well put together, well packaged. A lot of it covered information that we all have been privy to. A lot of it are things that we've heard from those that are in the industry, those that are just fans. And I believe if you know, if you've seen it, you've seen it. You can't deny your eyes, because if it's happened and you know about it, like you and I, we know about the City College thing, and we also know about Cassie because the whole world saw that most recently. I mean, every dog has his day, man.
Well, yeah. Definitely. Like I said, the stuff that the stuff that happened, that should happen, that he's got to be accountable for that. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just things that I scratch my head and wonder, why is he being held accountable for those kind of things, stuff.
You're talking about the interaction with the women, or I mean, well, let me just say this. What do you think? What is 50 Cent's motive for going after him like he's gone after oh goodness, why can't I think of his name? He went after the dude with
Ja Rule. He goes after
Ja Rule, yeah.
After,
like what's his motive for going after 50, for example, in your opinion?
Ratings.
Okay, so is this that? Okay, I mean that can be enough. But
I mean, because when he should be busy enough doing all the other stuff he's doing. He's got all the the series going. He's got all the other stuff that he got happening. I've gone through and watched a lot of his series and things like that, and it's they're pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I think.
Why do you have time, to go after these people, that really can't even stand up to what you were doing until now? You just opening the door for them, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the way I see it is like the people that he's come after, Jaru, 50 Cent. Now I know Jaru doesn't compare to any of them on the finance side, but Diddy's got a machine if he wanted to, counter. Um, I can't
Well,
speak
not
about
now.
everyone else, huh? Not
They
now.
they can't counter right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess you're right. But I wonder if it's just ratings or whatever it is. But whatever the point is, it's sad in one way and it's justified in another way because I personally think when you've done all these egregious things and it's been put out there, you do have to answer at some point. And if you're not answering to the general public, you have to answer to your maker. And I don't personally think the Most High is pleased with us that take advantage of other people, especially in these very specific ways. You look at your first deal, your first record deal, and they talk about everybody gets taken advantage of on their first record deal. I've heard that. I don't necessarily think it's right, but I do understand that's your introduction to the business. And
Well,
maybe not everybody, but most people experience that.
well, when they say they've been taken advantage of. When they, how how is it that most artists are being taken? How are they being taken advantage of?
Well, being instead of allowing the artists to make their money from recordings, for example, they're charging them the artists are being charged for studio time, distribution, et cetera, all these other expenses. And I do think maybe a certain portion, it does make sense, but it seems like the labels over years overwhelmingly put the expense on the artists, whereas the artists can never see the light of day. And then they have these long term, in many cases, contracts, and they're supposed to pay back the label, but you're not allowing the artist to make money, and you're charging the artist for so much. And the only way the artist can make money is by going on the road. But then when they go on the road, the tour manager, the setup, the trucks. I mean, it's like the artist is always behind the eight ball in many scenarios.
Mm, I'm just letting that settle in before I before I. You see, because well, one later at a time. I should have started writing that stuff down while he was saying it. The first thing is that you there's an agreement that you sign that you don't have to sign, and you
Right.
agree to. But now, and by no means, I don't think the labels do the artist justice or fairness or whatever the case may be. But on the other hand, who how should how in your opinion how should the record business be? How should it be ran? As
Well,
a record label, if you were a record label, and not, yeah, if you were the record label, what would you? How do you consider to
if I
run it?
was a record label, I think the same things that I just mentioned that the artists are taking in the ways that they are taking advantage of. I think those things should or can be in place, but the numbers or the percentages is what makes a difference on the level of fairness and the
What would
ob-
make it fair?
well, definitely depending on if you're talking about recording expense, you're talking about distribution, you're talking about marketing or promotion, just not even talking about touring, just on those four things. Well, whatever the numbers are, I can't say unless we have some numbers to go with, but if
Okay, let's it's a dollar. Let's say it's a dollar,
okay.
right? It's a dollar. All right. So how much of it should the record label be responsible for out of that dollar? right? Because if the scenario is the artist is coming to you, don't have anything.
Well,
And
if they don't have anything, suppose they wrote the song and produced it. Now, if
but
they
they
have, they're
but if
just
they
an
wrote
artist.
but if they wrote the song and produced it, they get the residuals no matter what,
Okay.
unless they sign that away. So
So what about a
that's
20/80 or 30/70 split?
okay. But now who's paying for it, and whose resources are being used?
Well, I mean, the label would be the one that's paying for it.
And
Their
then they got to
resources.
split. So
I mean,
so let me ask you a question. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No,
I've
you
had
good.
I've had this conversation many times.
That's why I'm throwing it at you.
So you're the company, right? You're the company, and I want to be the artist, and you're putting out the money. It's your resources. It's your your distribution, your promotion, your everything, right? It's your everything.
My
And
machine.
I want 50% of whatever is made. 50% of
As the
growth.
artist,
As the artist, I want 50%. Can I have it?
it's not going to go that way.
Okay. Can I have 40?
It's a negotiation, but not a typical.
I'm negotiating. Can I have 40?
You let me talk to your lawyer.
Okay. Can I have 30?
No, that's what I'm saying. 30/70 or maybe 20/80.
But you're paying for the whole thing.
Basically, if the label's taking 70 or 80% because of their expense and them having the machine, all the tools, and they have to pay everybody. I think that's quote unquote fair assessment on how it should be broken down. I know it's a lot more to it, and of course the label normally throws more into it so that they can justify or validate their reasoning for the artist getting so little, which I do understand, but I don't think Carl T. Smith Records would do that. See,
No,
now
I mean, listen. I think the artist should get a nice chunk of change. I think they should. You know what I'm saying?
on that front end, on that.
Well, here's the thing. There's an expense, right? Any businessman that goes into a business or do a thing, you have an expense, and you want to at least break even before you start splitting. See, and don't think that I'm pro label. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why I'm an independent artist. You know what I'm saying? If I wanna keep control of whatever, then I do what I need to do as an artist. But as a label, as a company, as a business, whatever your expenses are, like I'll gladly give you 80% after I recoup my expenses.
Hence why the first deal is usually not the good or best deal.
Well, the first deals, and this is where the slippery slope goes. This is where the ice is on the thing, because your first deal, your first three releases is probably not going to be enough to to cover the expenses of the first one, because it takes that much to get the ball rolling. So to recoup, and the way it's being done is not fair. I don't think it's fair. I do understand why they do it this way. Other words, the way they do it is to recoup the money for all the advancements.
Yeah,
it's based on your royalties, not what they make, but your royalties. So if I spent $1 and you get 1%, and I make the $1, but I only made 5 cents, because your 1%, I'm only recouping the money spent on you based on your percentage. So when I heard this, it was like, yeah, okay, I'm independent. That's how it's going to be. Instead of, so I make $1 million.
Okay.
But I still did not make my dollar back from the percentage that you get from the record. So it's not even on the overall. So what it should be is if the record label makes the money back from everything that they got, it should clear you for your percentage. It should clear you.
Right.
That's
Only
not
thing
how
the
it
record
goes.
label is going to want to get a profit too, though. That's the issue they have.
But see, this is where the unfair part is. It's not that they don't make a profit. They make a profit. That's the problem. But the way they make the artist pay is the problem.
Right. Okay. Right. Right.
If I make $1, but see, what I don't hear is that argument. What I hear is that it's unfair and they should get 30, 40 or whatever. No, you should get, I need to get my expenses back. You and I go into a deal, we're going to do an event, right? And you pay for the whole thing.
Well, you get 10% or 20% after my expenses have been recouped for.
There you go.
Right. There you go. Right.
There you go.
Now,
right.
I think
that's not what's happening with the artists.
Right. And I think personally, like if it was your label, it would be different. And if it was my label, it would be different. And the pluses or the bonuses, why would it be different is because one, and this is just my theory, but one, if you operate in fairness, and I know in business, people like business ain't fair, and it isn't run fair, but it can be fair. But if you run a business and you're being fair, and you got multiple clients, multiple artists, they're clients, and you're putting out product from all these different artists, whoever they may be, and regardless of their style, you got that same studio that you're using to make each artist's record or whatever it is, their album. So it's not like you're really starting all over each time, because if there's 8 hours in a day and so-and-so is in there for 2 hours, and if you got 10 artists and 4 are recording, that may be a full day for 4 artists. So that, your machine is going to pay for itself. But each contract for all those 4, not to mention the 6 that are going to be scheduled the next week, the next 2 weeks, whatever, you're going to make your money. And if you're treating your people right, you don't think so?
Well,
an engineer's going to get paid for the day. He ain't going to get paid per artist.
But you don't know what that expense is.
It doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. That's
how
well, it may cost. It depends. If I can record you, if I can use a guy who has a studio, a home studio, and it'll cost me $100, right? Or I go to a studio, per session, right?
Okay.
Just as a barometer, it's $100. But if I go to I don't know any of the studios now, but Right Track is one of the ones back in the day. I go to Right Track, and Right Track costs me $1,000. Right. So, and most of the time, if you can get the product done in the studio that was $100, then great. But most of the time, people need the engineer who knows what you're doing, your sound.
This is what your point you're missing. You got 24 hours in a day. Let's say a studio's open even though studios are open longer. Let's say you got a 7-hour day. Yeah, and yes, you may have several engineers, but you're paying your engineer either a weekly salary or you're paying them by the day.
No, absolutely not. You're paying the salary. You're paying, first of all, you're paying the studio rate. That's it.
No, you're talking about the artist. I'm talking about being a record company owner. He's on your payroll. The engineer's on your payroll.
No, how do you get that?
Because if I got a label in a studio, and I
now you're changing the whole thing. Because you have a label, don't mean you have a studio.
No, it doesn't mean that. You're right.
So I have a label. I have an agreement with a studio to give me time that I have to pay a bill on. If you have a label and you have a studio and you have everything in house, then wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Then you're talking about, well, I pay my engineer an hour and I give him 25 hours.
Yeah, that's the perfect scenario I'm looking at.
That's the perfect scenario. But most labels don't have a perfect scenario like Sir Charles carried. You know what I'm saying? Most labels have, they're the label. And for a lot of reasons, they don't want to have a perfect scenario because now everything is under them. So they have a label, yeah. Because if everything is under me, then when I hit you with the bill, you're gonna complain, you know, that it's unfair.
Don't matter.
So if I have a label, and I have a label, and then I go to the studio, and then you know, and then I go to the pressing plant, and so. That's a bill, the studio. The pressing plan is a different bill.
And they all inflate their expenses or their pricing.
Well, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, you make widgets.
So back to the issue at hand. Diddy has basically been a part of this sideways approach with God knows how many artists in their contracts for years and years and years. And I mean, think about it. If you saw the last documentary, if you are that shiesty, clever, whatever you want to call it, I'm gonna throw a funeral or party for you, but it's gonna be on your budget based on your spending, not my expenses. He gave Biggie a funeral off of the money and royalties he was making.
Paying, right.
Come on, man.
Right. I mean,
either do it right or leave it alone.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But you know, one thing again, if you're talking expenses, if you're talking, you know, straight up expenses and not recoupable and non-recoupable money, you know, do you really want? I remember there was a situation where there was a what would you call her? An entertainer, not really an entertainer, but an entertainer, and their kid was on a football team in the center, in the hood.
Okay.
And I'm sitting with a guy, and he's talking, he's saying, he's complaining and saying how cheap this person is and whatever, and they should just give the center $10,000. And I'm saying, well, why should she give you $10,000? And this is the same mentality. It's like, well, I'm the artist, so you should give me all the studio time and give me all the thing. So I told her, I said, well, why are you wanting them to give you $10,000? Why don't you do an event? And I'm sure that if you ask them to host the event and you sell the tickets and they volunteer their time, or even if you pay them, you'd get 20. You know, one of the things that I see is people don't realize that they live the same life we do, is just bigger money.
Well, you know, some people, I'll be honest with you, they want something without the effort. A lot of people. A lot of people. Yeah. But some don't have the skills to take advantage of the strategy that you're suggesting. And you know, that's the long and short of it, to be honest with you. You know, if you don't have the skills, okay, so you won't or can't do it.
So then then you got to pay the price.
Right. And that's the price, because the price is being taken advantage of. So when I'm looking at
I'm sorry, but if you had, let's say you had the recording, the master, and everything already, and now you signed a deal with the record label with all of that stuff done. They have no expenses. Then you really should have a really good split.
Now, we think you should re-record the songs. We love it. We want to give you a great deal. We've got a perfect studio all ready for you. Get Studio A. And
that's all great. That's all great. But I have mine already.
No, we want you to re-record it because we want to put our stamp on it. We're gonna really push this one.
I really, really love what you offering. I'll just go over to this guy and see what I can do.
Hey, Bill,
Or
there's a guy coming over, man. I'm trying to get him. He won't go for it.
listen, then you go, you do like
Indie.
Uptown or all those other record companies would do. You open up your own label and you go independent, and and then you don't have to worry about that deal.
Yeah, I had a similar deal on recording a documentary. They liked the documentary, but they didn't like the way I put it together. And they were like, well, if you could change this. And I was like, it wasn't bad what they were saying, but it was like I had already had it prepackaged. It was ready for retail sales. And I went to, what was it, the WHUT, Howard University TV. And they weren't saying anything bad. So I'm not putting anything bad on the station. But I was like, man, it's a lot of work as a one-man independent production company, and to repackage it, I was like, oh, they're killing me. They're killing me. Right. So I didn't move forward. But as I'm looking at this Diddy thing, regardless to the labels, the distribution, whoever's pressing records, and all the rest of that, he's still got a lot of people in bad contracts. I mean, from what I'm hearing, Craig Mack, Biggie. I mean, so many artists. I can't even name everybody. And it's just, I don't wish anything bad on anybody. I don't care who it is. Even whoever could have ever been my worst enemy, I'd rather isolate you and you not exist in my world versus wish or want to do something literally harmful to you. That's just the kind of person I am. But it's not surprising that now this is what he's up against, with or without the baby oil. I'm just saying, Carl. You know what I'm saying?
No. You had to throw the baby oil in the.
Oh, no. Well, they found it. It's evidence, man. Come on, we want me. I didn't make.
I mean, now it's against the law to buy baby oil. That's why I don't have baby oil in my house.
I use Vaseline. Thank you very much.
Whoa, whoa.
No, but really though, it's like you can't do. I mean, and I'm kind of torn because any person that comes from the background of like ours, I'm proud of them for success, but I'm not proud when they've broken a moral code or gone against a moral code, and it's hard to you can't overlook it, you can't ignore it, and that's the problem. Even with politics, I look at many of the African American politicians across the nation, Detroit, DC, New York. How many of us got an opportunity to rise up to these high statuses, or to these statuses, whether you consider them high or not, and they did something unfavorable, and they figure, oh, well, so-and-so did it, we can't do the same things that so-and-so and them do. And it's not fair. It's not fair that it happens anyway. But when you get knocked off your pedestal, then there goes the icon. There goes the person we look up to. And I mean, no one's perfect. Let he without sin cast the first stone. However, we have to have a better way of doing things. And we have to realize there's a higher standard, as some might say. And for some reason, we always seem to fall for the okie doke. And that's really unfortunate. Somebody said happy Tuesday, and someone was asking a question. But thanks, guys. If you're joining in, we're just talking about pop culture and the Diddy scenario. We're talking about what's happening with R&B and people in that genre today. But yeah, I look at, these things, and it's like, wow, every time you think you've got a bright light, someone's going to find something. Like Obama. Oh, he ain't do nothing. Oh, he didn't do anything. Okay. Name me one politician that's done every single thing that they said they were going to do, and everyone was pleased. Come on, shut up already.
Yeah.
Nobody can do everything they say. the way they say it, and it comes out smelling like roses, and everyone's pleased as punch. Come on, what are you? Where's the reality in your
Why
thinking?
not?
Why not?
No,
Which part?
I
Which
agree
part?
with you. I'm
Which
just
part?
saying. I agree with you, but I'm just saying, why not? You
I mean, it's
supposed to,
idealistic. I mean,
you
I
know.
would like to try to be that type of person, but
Right.
even in our personal lives, we can't be that. Seems like,
Yeah. You're right about that.
fragile mentalities don't allow happiness to pursue or to ensue. You know, yeah. So anyway, like I said, I'm torn. I wish the best for him, but I have to look at the realities of what happened, what has happened, what he has done, and I understand. By grace, maybe he'll get through it, and hopefully, if he's able to get through it, his ways will change. I don't know. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I was also looking at soul. I was looking at the way music is done today. Soul blends. It's like R&B and soul is taking a turn. I remember when hip hop was a part of the whole R&B experience when it first started coming out, and it was like, wow, that's nice. A nice hard hip hop beat with R&B flavor vocals or instrumentation. And now it's even gone further. I mean, I still like neo soul, but it's not really relevant. But pop and soul is seemingly really blending more. What are your thoughts on how soul music or R&B music has shifted or transitioned?
I mean, just like anything else, it stuff transition into something that anyone at a particular time won't recognize. But
Mm,
there's always a crowd. What I've learned is we chase what they say or they deemed the in thing at the time. That's someone else. But I just came off of a thing where there were thousands of people at the event, listening to 70s music. See, there's a
okay.
crowd. There's a crowd for all this, all music. But everybody's chasing the one carrot.
Yeah.
You're going after the one carrot. You want to be popular in everyone's eyes across the radio waves, the music industry, and all that other stuff. But there are multiple tons of avenues where people are starving for music.
Yeah.
But
We had
we're
we had a
able for
guest.
14, huh?
We had a guest on our show. We had Sharice Reed. She's a vocalist. She's a part of a band, Soul City Collective, and of course, she's done music way before I met her. And she came back on the show because she wrote a book, right? But my point of mentioning her is the fact that we did a gig, and I asked her to pick a song she'd like to do, and she picked some old school stuff. I was like pleasantly pleased, but that's what she likes, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I remember I did ask her the very first gig to do some specific neo soul type stuff, and she knocked that joint out the park. But
Mm-hmm.
when I asked her to pick what she wanted, she went old school. And I just say that to say, I guess to uh, your statement, to give validity to your statement about that style of music, that older music, it's still in play. People still want to hear it. People still
Yeah.
like it.
The only sad part is that they're not being serviced with new material. So that's the only thing they have is what's the old stuff. So they stick with that.
New material with that flavor, you're saying, or just new material?
With that flavor.
Yeah, I got you.
With that, like I said, I just came off of a thing. Thousands of people that was in this that was at this Maurice Watts classic soul concert, and there were it
Was
wasn't, huh?
Was First Choice there?
First Choice was there. First Choice was there. Matter of fact, yeah,
The Blue
First
Notes was
Choice.
there.
Who?
Tavares, the Blue Notes, Tavares, were they also there?
No, it wasn't Tavares. It wasn't Tavares. It was
Because I saw someone on social that had some video, and I think the name Watch sounds familiar. I think he brought out First Choice, and then there was a couple other groups. And I don't know if it's the same event, because I think he does different events throughout the year, whatever the case may be. But Blue Notes were there.
It was this weekend. It was who was on this show? Let's see.
I know Karen White was there for sure.
Karen White was on the show. But the thing that as I'm standing there looking at the audience and looking at the people and watching the crowd come in for 4 days,
right?
They were 45 to 80.
Really? Okay.
45 to 80, 85. They spent easily $1,500 to $3 grand per person to be at this event.
Wow.
See, I'm sitting there looking at this thing, and I'm going, you've been right all along. You got to continue doing what you're doing. But here it goes. I got the flyer now. But yeah, they spent at least 50. Listen, some of the people, as you talk to them, you start finding out. But they had the Shy Lights, the Stylistics, Atlantic Star, Heat Wave, Enchantment, the Sugar Hill Gang, SOS, the Daz Band, Lakeside, Karen White, the Jones Girls. It was the Jones Girls.
Yeah.
Champagne. I didn't see Champagne. He didn't show up. The Temprees and First Choice.
Wow, that's 14 acts.
And then they had there was a local band called the Cam Band that was playing out there. They had a lot of stuff. They had seminars and karaoke and all that other stuff. But the people that was there, I don't think I saw anybody. Honestly, I don't think I saw anybody younger than 55 at this whole event.
Wow.
And it was thousands of seats, and they spent the whole weekend, from Friday to I just got home.
Right.
So
right.
from Friday to Tuesday, and at the convention center at the Kalahari.
Okay.
The resort.
Now that's near the Poconos or somewhere?
It's in the Poconos. Yeah.
It's in the Poconos. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those like amusement park, water park kind of thing.
Resort type. Yeah.
Resort,
I got you.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's they're an underserviced.
That's an underserved market, and they're probably starving for more entertainment.
Big time. Because now they have a limited amount of entertainment because they don't get anything new.
Yeah, well, that's where you get It's My Turn, Bay,
or The Door.
Or The Door, you know what I'm saying?
You're Sexy.
You're Sexy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that's the market to hit for those kind of things.
They would love those songs. I really do believe that. They would love that. Between your band and my band, I think they tear them songs up. The guys that we work with,
well, they certainly would. They certainly would be receptive to it.
Yeah. I just had a response for somebody looking for a high-end band. So of course I responded, and then they said, I kind of wish I could do it, but at the same time, I need more details. Hey, can you show up this Friday? First of all, I said, can you show up this Friday for an audition? And I'm thinking, first of all, okay, yes, we could. we possibly could show up, but we've been doing this for a number of years, so I'm on the fence about this auditioning thing. I'm thinking, are you trying to just get a gig out of me, or is it legit? Because I mean, if it's high end and it's recurring events, that's different. It may be worth it, but I don't know you, and you don't know me. However, I have provided to you all the information you need. I've sent you a tape, video, whatever. I've sent you a EPK, electronic press kit. I've sent you a website. So what's this audition thing I'm thinking? But if it's high end and that's your criteria, I'm willing to meet your criteria if you're on the level, So, but we're waiting to see what happens next. I'm waiting. We'll see. I'm like, this Friday, whoa. Sometimes blessings come in strange ways. So
Right.
I can't turn my nose up at it and be like, nah, man. Never know. So I'm open.
Yeah. No, the best things came in, crazy stuff like that. Spur of the moment.
Unconventional ways, right? Yeah.
Upside down. Can you play sideways? And can you
play in pajamas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad you guys did that. We've got 3 more gigs. Oh, really? Okay. Let me get another pair of pajamas. But it's always interesting to talk about pop culture, whether it's music or actual art or other things that are happening in our life and times, because we've lived through some very peculiar times. We've lived through the AIDS epidemic, we've lived through the pandemic, we've lived through a few incidents the World Trade 9/11, right? We've lived through some really,
keep naming them, keep going.
I know, right? I can't think of them all, but it's like when we were in school and you heard about the Spanish flu or the Black Plague, it was like, oh, that was a long time ago. That's old stuff, right? World War I and II. But we've lived through our own worldwide historic scenarios, and it's like, wow, it's amazing. I guess you could say first Black president if you don't consider the continental U.S., the United States. But John Hanson was the first Black president, but some people don't want to deal with that.
Oh, yeah, you can't name that one.
Yeah, well, oops, it slipped.
Can't name that one.
Right. In fact, the funny thing is, I had a white guy ask me about that. He said, Charles, you know about the first Black president? I said, yeah. He said, there's a school right here in Waldorf, John Hanson. I was like, yeah. And I was just surprised that he was open enough to even mention it, to broach the topic. Mm-hmm. But I was like, yeah, I knew about it, But a lot of our folks don't know about it. A lot of people of color don't know about things like that.
Right.
So, history or pop culture is very real. And it's something we should make part of our, if not daily conversation, just our conversations and coming and going, so that we stay informed and we stay interested in the world that we live in.
Yeah. Before it gets taken away.
Yeah, well, might as well get the eraser out, because they're scrubbing stuff out or the whiteout.
They're trying, right?
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to, we've got some other things on the docket for upcoming events. We've got an artist that I really would like to introduce to everyone that's really, I just find him fascinating. I've never heard about his form of art. And within the next week or so, he should be coming on the show. And I'm looking forward to hearing what he does and letting him share how he does what it is that he does. I met him when I was out in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and it's going to be interesting. Any closing comments about your show you did or anything?
Look out, we coming soon. I'm going to do a bunch of events like that. Okay. Well, I've been doing those kind of things anyway. So, but I think I got a little more motivated just looking at how things was and just realizing, like, you're dragging your feet. You've been doing, you got them into what they're doing, and you're dragging your feet. So you need to come on and go ahead and do it, or get off the boat. You know what I mean?
Well, let's
Do
put
it.
our brains together and make it a reality, man.
Yeah, go ahead and do it, and you know, do it and let it, you know, either go or not, but just need to do it.
I'm sorry, I'm addicted. I still got the IV in, man. My bad. All right, man. Well, until next time, folks, hopefully you like it, and you can like, subscribe, and share the content that you've just witnessed. We were not really all over the place. It's really about not did he or did he, but it's about music and how music has changed, how it's evolved, and whose fault is it anyway, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
You're sexy, so good to me.